All right, welcome back. Today we're going to look at the ancient origins of the tranny and its association with the worship of pagan gods. Why are there so many trannies in the mass media and the government? Well, we're going to see that's the way it's always been. Okay, so really nothing's changed. The real question is, why wouldn't they all be a bunch of trannies? So anyone who thinks these people are not trannies, the onus of proof is on them because they've always been trannies. This is just a good summary. This book right here, in fact, called The Babylonian World, is a series of essays by experts in the ancient Near East. And we're going to find out some things about the goddess Inanna. Okay, so that'll be part one. Will be focused on the goddess Inanna. And then part two will be focused more on the rituals of this pagan religion. This book is talking about the ancient Babylonian world, but from my point of view, it's talking about the current world we live in today as well. Inanna and Ishtar in the Babylonian world. Inanna in Sumerian and Ishtar in Akkadian were the most revered and popular goddesses of ancient Mesopotamia. And pagan just means nations, right? So what happened is God pulled Abraham out of Babylon, where they were practicing this stuff we're going to look at. So pagan, really means nations, right? The nations are controlled by pagan gods, right? And they still are today. The essential role of Inanna in the legitimation myth of kingship was expressed through the Sumerian doctrine of king by love of Inanna, which was attained through the divine consecration, manifested in the rite of sacred marriage, the chemical wedding that sanctioned the authority of the ruler. Okay, now look at the note I wrote. The king married the tranny, who was the physical manifestation of Inanna, channeling the demon, a living, breathing abomination. That's why the wives of presidents and prime ministers and kings are trannies. Observing Inanna Ishtar through the pattern of ritual observance, all right, ancient pagan rituals that are not actually ancient because they're still being practiced today. These are modern pagan rituals. One notes the variant celebrations of the goddess involving transgendered and transvestite cultic personnel. Pagan rituals involving the tranny. Mass media, government filled with trannies. And back then, the temple was the government and the media, and the theater came out of the temple. Transgendered and transvestite cultic personnel. Tranny priests, all right? And we're going to see the Bible calls them sodomites in the King James English Bible, but guess what? The Bible was not originally written in English. That word was Kadesh. We're going to look at all this stuff later on. Tranny priest channels the Inanna Ishtar goddess. The spirit of the goddess inhabits the tranny priest. Viewing Inanna Ishtar from a pattern of sexual orientation, one focuses on her sexual identity. She could be viewed as a beautiful goddess of love who rules the day, and as a bearded goddess of war who rules the night. This apparent androgyny of Inanna Ishtar provided a powerful symbol of the ambiguities of pure sexuality, which is said to be reenacted in her cult and in the transvesticism of her cultic personnel. All first ladies have been trannies, all right? That's why. And now, by the way, this Inanna Ishtar is directly linked to the wandering star called Venus. The word planet means wandering star. So they believe Venus is both male and female because you see it at night and in the morning. That represents the two different sexes. And the word wandering star also is associated with false teachers, right? False gods, the small g gods, the small e Elohim. Inanna Ishtar is the one and only deity whose worship is known from the dawn of Babylonian civilization. Over the millennia, her identity underwent a continual process of reinterpretation and syncretism, mutation and fossilization, fusion and fission, which generated a goddess who was a complex, multi-layered conglomerate. Next to the volute-like symbol of Inanna appears also a rosette star. A star, the icon that became the major symbol of Inanna Ishtar throughout ancient Mesopotamian history down to the Neo-Babylonian period. From this period, we have not only images of her cult symbols, but also representations of the goddess. So the tranny is a human manifestation of Inanna. The spirit of Inanna is inside the tranny wife of the politician. and the rock star and the movie star. So this is depicting the sacred marriage. Now, I guess this would be Ishtar here with the star, and then there's a gatepost, the two towers, right? 1, 2, and the two towers of Freemasonry, the male and the female, right? And then of course, the 9/11 Twin Towers. But this star, let's think about this star. Where have you seen this symbol before? Well, of course, we know the flag of Canaan, or the flag of Judah, officially called the flag of Israel, the nation of Israel, composed of one of the 12 tribes, and they use this symbol as their flag. The Star of Ishtar is the national flag of Israel. This star also signifies Adam Kadmon, which I've talked about many times, the Jewish version of the original human named Adam. The first human was androgynous, and this is Adam's symbol. Triangle pointing up is male, triangle pointing down is female. I've shown this many times already. And the same androgynous symbol is used for Adam Kadmon. And guess what? The Babylonian goddess also shares the same exact sign. Ishtar, in her guise as warrior goddess, beneath a 6-pointed star disk, her symbol, and crescent symbol of her father Sin, the moon god. Okay, now these are arrows, supposedly, but they kind of look like wings, right? And what we're going to see is that these arrows still exist in the modern-day symbols of Inanna, and they also came to appear to be wings. All right, now here's a different representation of Inanna Ishtar, and you can see the arrows are still there, and now there's wings. The symbol undergoes slight transformations over time as it passes through Babylon and Egypt and Greece and Rome and the district of Inanna. Okay, now the seal, the Great Seal of the United States. What do we have here? We have the hexagram, the 6-pointed star, kind of deceptively placed there, right? So it's full of 13 small pentagrams, but actually the shape is the hexagram. One triangle pointing up, another triangle pointing down, representing the Jewish Adam Kadmon, the original androgynous human created by the androgynous god. It also represents the symbol of Inanna Ishtar, the androgynous deity, who is the goddess of transvestites, right? The goddess of androgyny, the goddess of the world. Mother Nature, Queen of Heaven, many names, Columbia, Mary, Astarte, and this is in the Bible as well. This deity, this goddess appears in the Bible many, many times. And the priests of this goddess appear many times. All right. This is the symbol of Inanna right here, the Great Seal of the United States, E pluribus unum. And this is kind of the Egyptian scarab. Remember, Inanna gives the power to the kings, gives the power to the government. A lot of people will say, well, that's just the phoenix. Well, let me ask you this. What is the phoenix? Okay, you always have to take it one more step back, because the phoenix is a symbol of something else. Well, the Egyptians got this idea of the phoenix from Inanna. Inanna's descent into the netherworld. That's the phoenix, all right? The phoenix descended into the netherworld and then came back. The phoenix is Inanna. In Freemasonry, a symbol is used to conceal the truth from the profane masses, okay? It is revealed, but only to the initiates. Only the people who have gone through the initiation process. That's the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States, all right? New World Order. And this is another representation. This is the Star of Ishtar. And of course, we got the same eagle here, right? That's the winged entity right there. And this is the goddess of... Now, this is mainly the war aspect, right? The goddess of war. Now, if you can't tell, this is a tranny, but I've done many videos on this entity already. Jewish. All right, so it's Babylonian, essentially. Babylonian beliefs was in the Israeli military. So the Jewish soldier, the goddess of war, was also a beauty pageant contestant, and in fact was Miss Israel. All right, so the goddess of war was also a beauty pageant contestant winner for Israel, wearing the tiara, the little crown on the head. That's also an Inanna symbol, and the scepter, the little rod they hold. The beauty pageants are ancient pagan rituals for Inanna. So this person had both the war and the fertility. In this movie, it's the goddess of peace, trying to bring about peace, but yet it's also a warrior. And this person's a male to female transgender, right? So it's a Kadesh, it's a sodomite, and we're going to see some Babylonian terms they use for that same thing, the Hydra. Back then, you would have seen trannies. Every time you went to the pagan temple in the ancient world, you'd see the tranny. They'd be hanging out. You'd be seeing trannies all day long. Now, we still do. They're on television. When you idolize the tranny, you're idolizing Inanna, pagan gods, breaking the first commandment. Male to female, transgendered, Jewish, soldier, and beauty contestant. And now playing Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was the ambassador to the United Nations for gender equality. United Nations, as I've shown many times, has an agenda to bring about a world of androgyny, to eliminate gender entirely, to eliminate boys, eliminate girls. They are now giving boys estrogen. They are giving girls testosterone. They are giving children puberty blockers so they do not go through puberty, so they do not become men and women who can reproduce. Because Inanna is the goddess who will reproduce. Only those channeling Inanna will be allowed on earth. Inanna is trying to take over the world, all right? It always has been. Sacred marriage, in which the king would take on the role of Dumuzid and engage in sexual intercourse with the priestess of Inanna. Question is, which one's the king? And is the priestess really a priest? You know what I'm saying, right? We've already seen the priests are transgendered, right? This is the king becoming the king by going through ritual acts of sodomy, all right, sex magic. And when you watch a movie filled with the tranny priests, what's the first thing you see? Before the movie begins, we have to bow down and worship Inanna. There's the star up here, right? This is the star of Inanna. This is the Statue of Liberty, same thing. This is the goddess Inanna. And before the movie begins, just like in ancient theater, Greek ancient theater was performed for the gods, just like the temple rituals were done for the gods. And in theater, it's the same thing. The actors were channeling the gods, and they're transgendered, right? I mean, it's a known fact that all the female roles were played by men in ancient Greek theater. All female roles in theater are still played by men, and the movie begins. Now, depending on what studio is making the movie, they have different symbols, but there's always some kind of pagan symbol at the beginning of the movie to remind you that this theater production is done in honor of the goddess. That's what's going on, all right? So it opens up with the goddess of transvestites, and then the movie begins, and you see the transvestite. The entire movie is a pagan ritual. This is an ancient poem or whatever it is for Inanna, translated into English, right? So this is like thousands of years old. To destroy, to build up, to tear out, and to settle are yours, Inanna. To turn a man into a woman, and a woman into a man are yours, Inanna. In like manner, the Neo-Sumerian kings considered themselves the spouses of Inanna. Okay, and my note says, that's why politicians marry the tranny. When you marry the tranny, you marry Inanna. The multiplication of manifestations of the goddess Inanna Ishtar reaches its zenith in the second millennium. The cult of Inanna and her Ishtar is performed in most major cities, all right? So this thing is spread around the world, right? And the Bible says as well, Book of Acts, who the whole world worships, same God, different language. Inanna Ishtar becomes the manifestation of sex and eroticism, patron of brides, married women, and prostitutes, all right? Just like the Hydra in India are doing today. Concomitant with her shift to queen is her shift to prostitute. One hymn puts these words into the mouth of Inanna. When I sit in the alehouse, I am a woman, and I am an exuberant young man. So Inanna is the goddess of both the male and the female in the act of sex during ritual prostitution. Not only do the people parade playing musical instruments, but also costumed asexual or hermaphrodite personnel, transvestites wearing male attire on their right side and female on their left, and kurgaras wielding swords in ecstatic frenzy. That's a word for a transvestite in the Babylonian. The king can only become king after the transvest. Conclusion: we have seen that her most archaic and basic aspect of astral dimorphism is the source of the ambiguities and contradictions in her character, including her apparent androgyny. In like manner, she held dominion over all polarity of behaviors, all right? Balancing the polar opposites. Remember that concept? Equilibrium. The basic principle of all occult sciences is balancing the polar opposites. represents both order and disorder, structure and anti-structure. Her bipolarity was founded on a natural phenomenon. The wandering star Venus appears twice in its course, once in the east, once in the west, as morning and as evening star. Lucifer. Her very mutability may have intrigued the ancient Mesopotamians and led to the conception of Inanna Ishtar as the one and only divine entity able to embody such opposing aspects. So if we had to summarize what's going on, why are the people in mass media transgendered? Well, it's because of paganism. The people we see in mass media are the modern-day cultic personnel of Inanna. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Transpocalypse Now.